My name is Moabi, Moabi, and my last name is Kotu, Kotu.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Moabi, where did you grow up?
I grew up in Soweto, Johannesburg, South Africa, the southwestern townships of Johannesburg. It's the acronym Soweto actually stands for Southwestern Townships.
Okay.
Yeah,
Um, uh, and that's far away from here, obviously.
very far.
What was it like growing up there?
It was awesome, challenging, um, but I wouldn't say I had a bad childhood as a child because all my role was to play, go to school, be good, get good grades, but it was very also inspirational, because Soweto is a melting pot of Johannesburg where all these migrant laborers that come from these remote villages, they come to work in Johannesburg, um, and then they were pushed to Soweto, um, into these ghettos, and that's actually where I grew up. But that made me be able to be diverse, in terms of language, because all these tribes came into Soweto and we speak different languages. So I was exposed to different cultures and different languages, and I can at least fluently read, write five of those languages, and I understand all of them. So um, it was very great growing up in Soweto, but at the same time, it was a very violent area, because of the poverty, because of the apartheid, because I grew up in South Africa I was born in 85, and it was during the apartheid. I don't know if you know much about apartheid. So it was a very, I didn't know, like, until I grew up, that, oh, this was this bad, until I started visiting suburbs, until I started visiting my mother's employer, because she was a domestic worker, for the whites, that lived in suburbs. So when I used to visit the suburbs, then I'll be able to tell the difference, to say, oh, Soweto, we live in these cramped houses, there's crime, there's dirt all over. In these suburbs, it's nice, quiet, big houses with pools and everything, you know. But all of that had contributed into making me a very broad minded person, to a point where I actually was exposed to say, oh, there's also overseas. So my point of view of life was just broad. I've experienced the lowest of the low and also tasted the high of the high, So I don't regret my childhood or where I grew up or how I grew up. It was all towards making me who I am today,
You said that, so when you were a child, you didn't see it as a difficult or a bad childhood, but you said at some point you did start to notice the differences. What point would you say that? How old were you?
I can say, um, maybe around maybe around 10.
Around 10.
Yeah, because that's when my aunt was a domestic worker. So I'll visit, and when I get to the suburbs, and I'll play with the kids of her employer. And like one day I saw this, they were dishing food for the dog, and actually they were giving it chicken legs, like chicken uh, drumsticks.
Mm-hmm.
And I looked at that dog's plate and I thought, dang, this dog eats stuff that's like a delicacy to us. And then I started seeing, oh, they have a pool, oh, they have this, oh, you know. And basically what would happen is these boys, whenever they have toys, if like maybe a leg of a soldier they have is broken, then they'll hand it to me. Or if they have a car and one wheel comes out, they'll give it to me. But I'll be grateful because I'll always have this stuff that when I go back to the township, it will be stuff that they don't have. But as I grew up, I realized that, oh, we are different, you know. So yeah, around 10, I can say that I started, and also because of the political situation, there was a lot of violence, a lot of killings. People were, like, the struggle was getting very intense in terms of, uh, it was now starting to be an armed struggle where there was always tear gas, um, fires burning. There was also tribes who were hired to cause black on black violence, to just start this chaos, and it was scary. And I realized that, oh, this is not good. You know, one time actually we were in town with my parents, and there was a bus full of people, and I couldn't read at that point. But when I saw this bus full of people, I started crying, and I told my parents, we need to go home. As they said, why? Because I told them this bus, it says Inkata. Inkata were the tribe that was killing other blacks, you know, at that time because of the political situation. And I cried. I told my parents I want to go home, and I couldn't even read at that time. So those are some of the highlights that I can say it was bad, you know. And also, I stayed in a one-room shack. We didn't have a full bedroom house. We stayed in a tin house. So in that house, we'd take a bath in there. We'll sleep in there. That was our living room and everything. At night, because in Soweto the toilets are outside. If you're too scared to go outside, then you're gonna have to have a bucket inside the house so that when you wanna pee, you know, then you'll take it out in the morning to go drop it. So yeah, those things. But as a child, like I said before, as a child, it was normal. But it's only when I started going outside that I realized that, oh, there's a dysfunction right here, you know.
When did you come to the U.S.?
I came to the United States in 2014. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No.
Come on.
Was it difficult to talk about the past, or is it difficult thinking about coming?
No, like it just hit me, you
Yeah.
know. Like I just go on about my life, you know.
Yeah.
But when I get into detail about it, I just realize that, yeah, it was hard, you